back to Trey. If he had a biopic this year in films, it would be called 19 Starts Since High School, the Trey Lance story. It's very sobering when you look at it that way. Is that how you look at it with Trey Lance? Are you that apprehensive because of that fact?
I'm not. But when it's called out, I'm like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is true. Like, I don't deny it. I don't look at it and say, well, it's completely irrelevant to where we're at right now. But it is just the facts, right? That was why you took him last year, because you saw the potential. You saw the ceiling. You saw the athleticism. You saw the potential greatness there. When I looked at the highlight reel, which is my sort of order of operations, when I'm going to look at a potential prospect, I go highlight reel first because I want to see what your ceiling is. And then I'll go through the individual game tape and look at some of your poorer games to look at where you might struggle. But I want to know what's the highest high. If you're able to do what you did in college in the NFL, what would it look like? And it jumped off the page for me with Trey Lance. So to me, the 49ers saw the future. They saw a glimpse of what it could be, and it was worth the risk. I remain convicted that if Trey Lance had gone back to school, that he probably would have had close to, if not another undefeated season at North Dakota State University, and he would be the consensus #1 overall pick in this 2022 draft. So the Niners' value in getting him 3rd overall last year seems pretty damn good to me when I consider it that way.
Yeah, I mean, experience matters for quarterbacks. As Bill Walsh used to say, it's a game of repetitions, but you can gain experience. Literally, it's the easiest thing in the world to gain. You can't gain natural talent. And that's what you're really drafting. Like, experience is nice, but there's plenty of like 4-year starters in college who were not NFL caliber. I mean, it's not what you're drafting for. So it's a consideration, but another way to look at it with Trey, like how you said it is, if this guy had gone to a school that was more fitting of his talent, like if he'd gone to Alabama or Clemson and actually played 2 or 3 years, as he absolutely had the talent to do, and there was no pandemic, chances are he wouldn't have went number 3. Chances are you'd be looking at him as, the way I look at him, is the most physically gifted quarterback I've ever seen. No one talks about him that way because he's not experienced. And it's like those two things have nothing to do with each other. Just put that aside. Forget where he went to college. Forget how little he's played. Just look at the skill set. You can't compare it to anyone else. Some people compare it to Josh Allen. Cool, but Josh Allen can't run like Trey. And you could compare it to anyone. Like, it's very unique. The way I look at it is, you ever do it in basketball, like NBADraft.net. They'll have draft grades for the players, and there'll be like 10 different categories, and they'll be ranked 1 through 10. He's a 9 or a 10 on everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everything. So that's why he's so intriguing to me. I don't really care. I like how young he is. I like how inexperienced he is. It just means he was more attainable for the Niners.
Yeah, I see him as a triple threat. The physical traits are obvious. You can watch the tape, but you also see him as a grinder. What we talked about with the assistant coaches and why you would value them. The same is true with Trey, in that he's relentless in his preparation. And then it's clear as day to me, the level of intelligence that he possesses. It comes across when he speaks to the media. It comes across when he's at the podium speaking. I don't think you can question his intelligence, his dedication, and his physical skill set. That triple threat to me is enough promise that, yeah, is there some risk? Of course there is. There's risk in everything. Bring back Jimmy another year, maybe he gets injured week 1, and that's that, right? Like, there's risk in everything, but Trey Lance seems to be a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I mean, like, try to use a different sport as an analogy. Let's go back to the 60s, and imagine we were boxing scouts and we saw a very young Muhammad Ali. Ooh, and we're trying to decide whether he should recommend him to the trainer who
Cassius Clay.
And we're like, he's great. He's got the quickest hands I've ever seen, got the quickest feet, his accuracy. He just hasn't fought that. He's only had about 3 or 4 fights. So you know what? I wouldn't recommend him. He's just not experienced enough. Like, wow, that would have been the worst advice you could have given. So sometimes your job is to sort of see past that stuff and see what's the true potential of someone. And I think maybe I'm way off with Lance, but to me, he's got the highest potential of any quarterback I've ever seen. Doesn't mean he'll even get halfway there. It's going to take a lot of coaching and things to go his way, but I'm intrigued. I don't care about his high school, his start since high school.
And that is what these scouts have to do. It's prognostication. It is your ability to read the tea leaves and look to the future and predict. And the beauty of what we do in putting our opinions out with prognostication is that we're not talking about going back and changing the past. We're talking about things that haven't happened yet and our speculation as to what direction they go. These things will actually play out, and we will get to see whether we and the 49ers scouts and the 49ers front office were actually right about this.
The Niners moved Deebo Samuel to running back midseason, and he just happened to average like 6. Like, he was one of the best ball carriers in the league. Was he great because he had experience doing it, or was he great because he still was the most athletic player on the field and he had the ball in his hands? I just feel like that's what's happening with Lance. As he goes forward, he'll be like, okay, like this is all new to me, but you know what is still the same? I'm still the most athletic. I can still make any throw I want. I can still get anywhere I want. That's not going to change until I'm 30-something years old. That's going to make me confident. I can learn the rest on the fly. I mean, it's a lot easier to have that than to be like, well, you know what? I've started so many games, all games, but I can't get the ball on time. I can't do anything. I mean, I'll take Trey.